You walk into the kitchen between meals, just a little hungry, not enough for lunch or dinner, but your body is asking for something. So you reach for the bowl on the counter, that familiar handful of nuts, maybe almonds or cashews, maybe a sweet and salty trail mix you picked up thinking it was a better choice than chips or cookies. Because after all, nuts are healthy, right? You've heard it your whole life. Nuts are a heart-healthy, protein-packed, fiber-rich snack, perfect for people watching their weight, mind, or sugar, especially as they age. But here's a hard truth that too few talk about. Not all nuts are created equal, and when you're over 60, the difference between the right and wrong kind can shape your energy, your digestion, even your heart and brain health. Yet no one at the grocery store is putting up signs saying, "Warning, this nut might spike your blood sugar," or "These handfuls could be silently working against your kidneys." And so most seniors trying to eat clean, trying to do better, end up choosing what looks healthy but actually isn't. And slowly, quietly, those healthy snacks begin to cause the very problems they thought they were preventing. That's what this video is about: clarity. We're going to strip away the marketing, the misleading packaging, and the half-truths, and finally break down which nuts are truly beneficial for seniors, and which ones you should think twice about before tossing into your snack routine. And we're not just giving you a list. We're going to show you why these choices matter, with real stories, real science, and real-life examples of people just like you who discovered how the right nut can help support brain function, heart health, even digestive stability, and how the wrong one can quietly undermine all of it. Because here's the thing. After 60, your body is different. Your metabolism shifts. Your bones aren't as dense. Your blood vessels aren't as forgiving. Your skin needs more nourishment, not less. And your ability to process sugars, fats, and certain compounds like oxalates becomes more delicate. So even if you've eaten the same snacks for decades, the impact they have now is not the same as when you were 35. That's why what you eat now matters more than ever before, not just in big meals, but in the little handfuls in between. The snacks you don't think twice about, but that your body certainly notices. We're going to break this video into parts so it's easy to follow. First, we'll talk about the 3 best nuts to add to your routine if you're over 60. We'll go deep into why they support your brain, your bones, your blood sugar, and your immune system. Then we'll walk through the 3 nuts to limit or avoid, the ones that, despite their popularity, can increase inflammation, kidney risk, weight gain, or even heart strain. And throughout it all, you'll hear from people who made small changes and saw big results, not with pills or diets, but with intentional informed choices about something as simple as what kind of nut they eat. Let's be honest, this isn't the kind of video that grabs headlines, but it's the kind of information that can add years to your independence. That can sharpen your mind when others are forgetting things. That can keep your heart steady when you're climbing stairs. And when you're living on your own or managing your own meals for the first time in decades, this kind of clarity about what fuels you and what silently drains you isn't just helpful, it's essential. So if you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, or love someone who is, stay with me, because these aren't random facts. This is your guide to aging with strength, awareness, and control, starting with something as small and powerful as the next handful of nuts you eat. And by the end of this video, you won't just know what to eat. You'll know why. You'll know how to tell a health booster from a hidden threat. You'll know what questions to ask at the doctor's office, what to look for on labels, and how to make smart swaps that actually work. So let's begin, not with fear, but with power. Because when you understand what's in your food, you reclaim your ability to protect your health one bite at a time. Top 3 nuts to eat for senior health. 1. Walnuts. The brain-boosting superfood rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Supports cognitive health and memory. Contains antioxidants that reduce inflammation and protect against aging. Supports heart health by lowering bad cholesterol, LDL, low in carbs. Suitable for blood sugar control. Example: George, 74, improved his focus and memory by eating walnuts daily. Of all the foods we casually reach for, there's one that looks like a brain, and not by coincidence. The walnut, gnarled, folded, familiar, a shell wrapped around something powerful. A nut that for centuries has been called brain food, not just for its shape, but for what it does inside your body, especially as you age. Because when you're over 60, protecting your mind, your memory, your clarity, your ability to speak and think and remember your grandchildren's names is not just a bonus, it's a necessity. And walnuts offer one of the simplest, most potent forms of support for exactly that. The reason lies in what walnuts are made of. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid ALA, a plant-based omega-3 that the body converts to DHA and EPA, the compounds that fuel your brain cells, support synaptic function, reduce inflammation, and form the structural foundation of your gray matter. Think of your brain like a living electrical grid, billions of signals firing every second. And omega-3s are the insulation around those wires. Without enough, the signals falter, memory becomes patchy, and over time, the risk of cognitive decline, including Alzheimer's and dementia, quietly grows. But here's the good news. Studies have shown that older adults who consume walnuts regularly, just a handful a day, perform better on cognitive tests, retain memory for longer, and even show slower brain aging on MRI scans. That's not marketing hype. That's hard science. Let's talk about George. He's a 74-year-old retired teacher who loved crossword puzzles, reading historical biographies, and engaging in trivia nights at his community center. But a few years ago, he began to notice the early warning signs. He'd forget where he left his glasses, stumble on the names of former students, or blank on words mid-sentence. It wasn't dramatic, but it felt like a slow fog creeping in. His doctor recommended introducing more anti-inflammatory, brain-supporting foods into his routine. Chief among them, walnuts. George started eating a small handful with breakfast every morning, sprinkled them into oatmeal, sometimes ground them into sauces. 3 months later, he said he felt clearer, not like a young man again, but like himself again. His memory lapses decreased. He stayed more engaged in conversations, and his confidence returned. Walnuts didn't erase time, but they helped preserve what time had tried to steal, and brain health is just the beginning. Walnuts are also rich in polyphenols and antioxidants, which combat oxidative stress, a leading driver of aging and disease in seniors. Think of oxidative stress like rust building up in your body. Antioxidants are the oil that keeps the parts moving smoothly. When you're over 60, your body produces fewer of these protective compounds naturally, so getting them through food becomes crucial. Walnuts deliver. They also help lower LDL cholesterol, improve blood flow, and support heart health, which is deeply tied to brain function. Remember, your brain depends on a healthy cardiovascular system. Poor circulation means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching the mind. Walnuts help keep that flow steady. What's more, walnuts are low in carbohydrates, making them a smart snack for seniors watching their blood sugar or managing prediabetes. Unlike sugary granola bars or highly processed snack mixes, walnuts won't spike insulin or lead to crashes. They deliver steady, sustained energy that supports both physical and mental stamina. And they're versatile. You can blend them into smoothies, toss them on a salad, stir them into yogurt, or just keep a small jar on the counter for daily snacking. They're not trendy, they're not exotic, but they're effective. Now, a word on portion control, because like all nuts, walnuts are calorie dense. A handful, around 1 ounce or 14 halves, is all you need to get the full benefit. Eating more doesn't multiply the gains, it just adds calories. The key is consistency, not quantity. It's also important to choose the right kind. Raw or dry roasted walnuts are best. Avoid sugar-coated varieties or those roasted in inflammatory oils. If you buy them pre-chopped, store them in the fridge. They're rich in oils that can go rancid if left out too long. But let's zoom out for a moment. Why does this one little nut matter so much? Because after 60, you're not just feeding your body, you're fighting for your future. Every snack is either supporting your independence or slowly eroding it. Walnuts support independence, not just by strengthening the heart and sharpening the brain, but by giving you confidence. The kind that says, I may not be 20, but I am still sharp, still vital, still here. If you've ever worried about your memory slipping or watched a loved one fade into confusion and thought, I don't want that to be me, this is where you begin, not with fear, not with panic, but with one handful of something proven to help. So tomorrow morning, when you're standing in the kitchen, reach for the walnuts. Let it be the first thing you do for your brain that day. And remember, it's not about reversing time. It's about respecting what time has given you and choosing to nourish the mind that holds your life story. 2. Almonds, the nutrient-dense powerhouse high. In vitamin E, supports skin health and slows signs of aging, contains magnesium and calcium, essential for bone strength, helps regulate blood sugar with fiber, protein, and healthy fats, aids in heart health and maintaining a healthy weight. Example, Margaret, 69, improved her skin and bone confidence by adding almonds to her diet. They don't look flashy, no exotic colors, no trendy marketing buzzwords, just smooth tan shells packed with quiet strength. And yet almonds, among the most ordinary looking foods, hold some of the most extraordinary power for aging bodies. Because when you cross that threshold into your 60s, your body's needs change in ways you don't always notice at first. Your skin begins to dry and thin, your bones begin to weaken invisibly, and your heart starts asking for more support than it used to. But tucked into that small, familiar nut is a bundle of nutrients that speak directly to those needs. Vitamin E, magnesium, calcium, healthy fats, fiber, and plant-based protein. A combination so perfectly balanced, it's like nature designed almonds, specifically for longevity. Let's start with the skin, because most people notice it first. As you age, your body produces less oil. That youthful glow, that elasticity, that softness, it begins to fade, replaced by dryness, fragility, and, for many, discomfort. You try creams, you drink water, you moisturize. But what most don't realize is that skin health doesn't start with lotion. It starts from the inside. And this is where almonds shine. They're one of the richest natural sources of vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects skin cells from oxidative damage, preserves moisture, and slows down the visible signs of aging. Unlike topical treatments, vitamin E from food works systemically. It nourishes your skin from the inside out, protecting every cell in your body, not just the ones on your hands or face. Take Margaret, a 69-year-old retired nurse. She had always been disciplined about skincare, but in her late 60s, she began to notice that her skin wasn't responding the same way. It felt paper thin, especially on her arms and neck. At the same time, she started to worry about her bones. Her mother had suffered a fractured hip in her 70s, and Margaret didn't want to face the same fate. On the advice of her physician, she added a simple habit, a small handful of raw almonds each afternoon. Within weeks, she noticed her skin felt less tight. She had fewer tears and bruises. But what really surprised her was how she felt. Stronger, steadier, more centered in her body. It wasn't a miracle. It was nutrition, finally meeting her body where it needed help. Because almonds don't just feed the skin, they fortify the bones. They're packed with magnesium and calcium, two minerals that are essential for maintaining bone density. After age 50, especially in women, the body's ability to maintain strong bones decreases significantly. Osteoporosis doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, quiet weakening. And once the fractures begin, the dominoes fall fast. That's why prevention isn't optional. It's critical. Almonds offer a steady source of the nutrients that help keep bones dense and resilient. They may not replace the calcium you get from dairy, but they complement it. And unlike many dairy products, they come without added hormones or saturated fat. And then there's the heart. After 60, heart disease becomes the leading cause of death for both men and women. But almonds support cardiovascular health on multiple fronts. Their monounsaturated fats, the same kind found in olive oil, help reduce bad LDL cholesterol and increase good HDL cholesterol. Their fiber helps clean out the arteries, supporting healthy circulation. Their plant sterols and antioxidants reduce inflammation, the root of so many age-related diseases. You're not just snacking on almonds, you're giving your heart room to breathe more easily. They're also blood sugar friendly, with a low glycemic index that prevents sudden spikes and crashes. The combination of protein, fat, and fiber means that almonds digest slowly, keeping you full longer and helping stabilize your energy levels. For seniors managing diabetes or insulin resistance, this is no small thing. Many snacks marketed as healthy are full of sugars or starches that cause glucose roller coasters. Almonds don't do that. They keep your internal system steady. But here's something less discussed and equally important. Mental sharpness. The vitamin E in almonds doesn't just support the skin, it also plays a key role in cognitive function. Research shows that regular intake of vitamin E can help reduce the risk of age-related memory decline. It protects neurons. It supports synaptic health. When you eat almonds, you're not just feeding your skin and bones, you're defending your mind. Now let's talk about how to eat them right. Stick with raw or dry roasted, unsalted almonds. The salted varieties, though tasty, often contain far more sodium than you realize, which can counteract the cardiovascular benefits and raise your blood pressure. A standard portion is about 23 almonds or 1 ounce. That's enough to give you the full benefits without tipping the scale on calories. And speaking of calories, yes, almonds are calorie dense, but they're also nutrient dense, which is more important. In fact, studies have shown that people who eat almonds regularly are less likely to gain weight than those who eat other types of snacks with similar calories. Why? Because almonds keep you full. They reduce the urge to overeat later. So don't fear almonds. Honor them. Use them. Let them be part of your defense system against frailty, against forgetfulness, against fatigue. Snack on them mid-morning. Toss them in salads. Blend them into smoothies. Spread almond butter on apple slices. Whatever works for you. And if you've been eating them all along, keep going. You're doing your future self a massive favor. In the end, almonds are not just a snack. They're a form of self-respect. A daily gift to your future health. A small habit that pays off in big ways, quietly, gradually, over years. Because longevity isn't just about how long you live, it's about how well. And almonds, simple, unassuming, powerful, are one of the easiest ways to support that goal. 3. Pistachios. The heart-healthy, snack-rich in antioxidants and fiber, supports digestion and heart function. Low glycemic index, stabilizes blood sugar, ideal for diabetes management, encourages mindful eating, often eaten in shell, lower in calories than many nuts. Example, Daniel 71 stabilized his blood sugar and reduced unhealthy snacking with pistachios. If almonds are the quiet guardians of your bones and walnuts the protectors of your brain, then pistachios are the bright, unassuming heroes of your heart. A nut often overlooked in favor of flashier options, yet packed with powerful benefits that speak directly to what seniors need most: stable energy, better circulation, steady blood sugar, and digestive ease. Because when you crack open a pistachio shell, you're not just reaching for a snack, you're choosing a small act of self-care. And in a world of mindless eating, pistachios ask you to slow down, to engage, to make each bite count, literally. Let's start with the heart, because for older adults, cardiovascular health isn't just a category on a chart. It's your life force, the pump that delivers oxygen to your brain, your muscles, your organs. And when it weakens, everything else begins to dim. But pistachios contain high levels of antioxidants, particularly lutein and gamma-tocopherol, both of which help protect blood vessels from damage and reduce chronic inflammation, the kind of inflammation that builds quietly over years and eventually becomes heart disease. Unlike some nuts that are high in saturated fats, pistachios are rich in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, which help lower LDL, bad cholesterol, and raise HDL, good cholesterol, improving blood lipid profiles and keeping arteries clear. In one study, seniors who ate pistachios daily showed improvements in vascular health in just a few weeks. Their arteries were more flexible, their blood pressure was lower, and their cholesterol ratios improved, all from adding just a handful of these little green nuts to their routine. Then there's the blood sugar effect, a critical concern for seniors managing prediabetes or full-blown type 2 diabetes. Many snacks, even those labeled natural or healthy, cause spikes in glucose, followed by crashes that leave you tired, dizzy, and craving more food. But pistachios have a low glycemic index, which means they release energy slowly. The combination of fiber, protein, and healthy fat slows the digestion of carbohydrates, helping stabilize blood sugar throughout the day. No spikes, no crashes, just calm, steady energy. Take Daniel, 71, who'd battled blood sugar swings for years. His afternoons were marked by fatigue and mood dips, often followed by overeating. His doctor advised him to replace his sugary granola bar with a handful of unsalted pistachios. Within a few weeks, Daniel noticed that he wasn't getting shaky at 3 p.m. anymore. He stayed fuller longer. His mood was more even. His blood glucose readings improved. That small switch, it changed the rhythm of his day. And while we're talking rhythm, let's talk about the gut. Because digestion slows with age, and constipation becomes more common than anyone likes to admit. Pistachios are one of the most fiber-rich nuts available, providing both soluble and insoluble fiber that supports regularity and feeds beneficial gut bacteria. And that matters not just for comfort, but for immune function, mental clarity, and inflammation control, all of which are deeply tied to gut health. You may not realize it, but every healthy microbe in your gut is like a little soldier working to keep your immune system sharp and your body balanced. Pistachios feed those soldiers. They promote diversity in the microbiome, which has been linked to everything from sharper thinking to better sleep. So the next time you pop open a pistachio shell, think of it as an investment, not just in your digestion, but in your whole system. And here's something surprisingly important. Pistachios promote mindfulness. Because they're usually sold in shell, you can't just toss a handful into your mouth and forget about them. You have to slow down, peel, pause, eat. That process, that tiny ritual, has been shown to help people feel more satisfied and avoid overeating, something especially valuable when managing weight or blood sugar. In fact, researchers found that people who ate in-shell pistachios consumed 40% fewer calories than those who ate shelled ones, simply because the act of shelling encouraged mindfulness and pacing. And pistachios are lower in calories than most other nuts, especially those with high fat content like macadamias or cashews. They also have one of the highest protein to fat ratios, making them a great option for seniors who want to feel full and fueled without adding unnecessary weight. That balance of fiber plus protein plus good fat is rare, and pistachios deliver it all in a single handful. Now let's talk about how to eat them right. Opt for unsalted in-shell pistachios. The salt and flavored varieties can counteract the cardiovascular benefits and strain your kidneys or blood pressure. If you prefer them shelled, store them in an airtight container to maintain freshness. A standard serving is about 49 pistachios. That's more per serving than almost any other nut, which means more satisfaction, more chewing, and more fiber. Add them to yogurt with fruit. Use them as a salad topping. Toss them into oatmeal or quinoa bowls. Or enjoy them slowly, shell by shell, during an afternoon break. Now, some people worry that nuts are too high in calories for daily snacking. But here's what matters more than calories: nutrient density and satiety. Pistachios keep you full. They stabilize your energy. They reduce cravings. That means you're less likely to reach for sweets, chips, or processed snacks later in the day. It's not just what pistachios add to your diet, it's what they crowd out. If you're someone who's felt stuck in your snacking habits, grabbing whatever's easy, processed, or sweet, this is your chance to change the narrative. Pistachios offer the kind of nutrition that helps rebuild strength, calm blood sugar, ease digestion, and protect your heart. And they taste good doing it. So the next time you stand in your kitchen and your hand hovers over a bag of something sugary, salty, or processed, ask yourself, what if this snack could do more than fill me up? What if it could heal me, strengthen me, protect me? With pistachios, it can. Now, this is top 3 nuts to avoid or limit for seniors. 1. Cashews, hidden risks, high in oxalates, increases risk of kidney stones. Higher in natural sugars and carbs, not ideal for blood sugar control. Calorie dense can contribute to weight gain. Example, Helen experienced kidney discomfort linked to cashew intake. They're creamy, mild, and undeniably addictive. The kind of nut you can eat by the handful without even realizing it. Tossed into trail mix, stirred into sauces, blended into vegan cheese spreads, or simply eaten raw by the handful in the late afternoon lull. But while cashews have earned their place as a go-to snack in the health food aisle, The truth is that for older adults, these popular nuts carry hidden risks that aren't always visible on the label. And if you're over 60 and trying to take better care of your kidneys, your blood sugar, or your weight, it's time to look at cashews not just as a tasty treat, but as a food that deserves closer scrutiny. Let's start with the most serious issue: oxalates, naturally occurring compounds found in certain plant-based foods that combine with calcium in the body to form kidney stones. And among all the commonly eaten nuts, cashews are among the highest in oxalate content. This may not sound like a big deal at first, until you realize that after age 60, kidney function naturally declines. And if you have a history of stones or any degree of renal impairment, cashews may be contributing to silent harm every time you eat them. Unlike other nuts like almonds or walnuts, which are relatively low in oxalates and may even support kidney health when eaten in moderation, cashews load the body with a substance that, in excess, can crystallize into pain, nausea, or worse, a trip to the hospital. Take Helen, a 68-year-old retiree who began adding cashews to her trail mix for their creamy texture and mild flavor. She had no idea that oxalates could be a problem, and no one at the store warned her. After several months, she started experiencing dull, persistent discomfort in her lower back, thinking it was just muscle strain. But when she saw her doctor and underwent testing, she was shocked to discover early-stage kidney stones forming. After reviewing her diet, the connection became clear. Cashews were quietly contributing to the problem. She swapped them out for almonds and walnuts, increased her hydration, and the symptoms subsided. A small change, a major impact. And it's not just the kidneys. Cashews contain significantly more carbohydrates and natural sugars than most other nuts, which means they can subtly raise your blood sugar, especially when eaten in large portions or as part of a sweet trail mix. For seniors managing type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, this matters. The goal isn't just to avoid sugar, but to minimize foods that behave like sugar in the bloodstream. Cashews, despite their health halo, can cause small but consistent spikes in glucose, especially when combined with dried fruits or coatings. Now think about how easy it is to overeat cashews. They're soft, mild, almost buttery. They lack the tough crunch of almonds or the shell-slowing quality of pistachios. That means portion control becomes harder, especially for seniors who snack while watching TV, reading, or just moving through the day on autopilot. One handful becomes three, a small bowl becomes 400 calories before you blink. And that's a problem, because while cashews do contain some beneficial minerals and healthy fats, they're also very calorie dense, and their soft texture makes it easy to consume far more than your body needs. Weight gain might not seem dramatic at first, but when you're older, even 5 extra pounds can mean increased pressure on the knees, slower walking speed, higher blood pressure, and more fatigue. Cashews won't necessarily cause these issues on their own, but they can quietly contribute to the trend. And unlike walnuts or almonds, they offer fewer counterbalancing nutrients, less fiber, less protein, fewer brain-boosting fats. If you've been eating cashews thinking they're a safe snack, it doesn't mean you need to panic, but you should consider how often and how much you're eating, especially if you have any of the following risk factors: a history of kidney stones, mild to moderate kidney disease, diabetes or blood sugar instability, goals to lose weight or reduce calorie intake, concerns about portion control or emotional snacking. The point isn't that cashews are toxic. They're not. They do contain zinc, iron, magnesium, and healthy fats. But those benefits come with trade-offs, and after 60, trade-offs need to be evaluated carefully. Every bite matters more. Every choice counts. So what's the better move? If you love cashews, treat them like a garnish, not a go-to snack. Sprinkle a few on top of a salad, blend a tablespoon into a curry, but don't keep them in a jar on your counter. And definitely don't treat them like almonds or walnuts, which can be safely enjoyed in larger amounts. And if you have kidney concerns, talk to your doctor about oxalates. Ask whether cashews are a safe choice for your body, not just someone else's YouTube routine or diet plan. Personalized nutrition becomes more important as we age, and what works for one person might backfire for another. Remember, cashews taste harmless, But that doesn't mean they are harmless, especially if your body's already doing extra work to stay balanced. This isn't about restriction, it's about respect. Respecting your kidneys, your blood sugar, your weight, your health, your future. That's what food is, not just fuel, but feedback. And every time you listen to your body's feedback, you give yourself a better chance to live longer, stronger, and clearer. So the next time you reach for a nut, ask yourself, am I eating this because it loves me back? Or because it's easy, familiar, and marketed as healthy? Choose the nut that loves you back. 2. Macadamia nuts. High in fat, low in nutrients. Extremely calorie dense with low protein and fiber. Low in omega-3s and other heart beneficial nutrients. Often sold salted or flavored. Contributes to sodium intake. Example, Robert gained weight unknowingly due to regular macadamia snacking. They feel luxurious, don't they? Smooth, round, rich with a buttery crunch that melts almost instantly in your mouth. Macadamia nuts are the dessert of the nut world, often associated with indulgence, vacation, and upscale snacks. And for good reason. They're delicious, they're exotic, and they're often paired with white chocolate or shortbread. But once you set aside the marketing and flavor associations, the real question is, are macadamia nuts a smart choice for seniors who want to stay healthy, energized, and strong in their 60s, 70s, and beyond? The answer, unfortunately, is more complicated than their golden, glossy surface lets on. Because while they're not harmful in the immediate sense, they fall short where it matters most, especially when compared to truly functional, body-supporting nuts like almonds, walnuts, or pistachios. Let's begin with the most obvious trait: fat content. Macadamias are among the highest fat nuts on the planet, with over 21 grams of fat per ounce. Higher than pecans, higher than peanuts, far higher than pistachios or almonds. Now, not all fat is bad. In fact, healthy fats are essential for aging bodies. But macadamias offer little in the way of balance. They're low in protein, low in fiber, and relatively low in essential vitamins and minerals compared to their nut cousins. What that means is this: you're getting the calories, but not the nutritional return. Imagine it like this. Your body is a retirement account. Every bite of food you invest in should offer returns. Sharper thinking, stronger bones, steadier blood sugar. Macadamias? They're like spending your retirement savings on luxury goods that look good in the moment, but leave you nothing to build on. Calorically rich, nutritionally thin. Let's put this into perspective. 1 ounce of macadamia nuts, just 10 to 12 pieces, has roughly 200 calories, with almost 90% of those calories coming from fat. Contrast that with almonds, which offer fiber, vitamin E, calcium, and magnesium, or walnuts, which supply omega-3s for brain health. Macadamias deliver very little of these. And the protein, just 2 grams per ounce, far below the 6 grams you'd get from almonds or peanuts. Now let's talk about satiety, your ability to feel full after a snack. Protein and fiber are the key drivers of satiety, and macadamias lack both. That's why you can eat them endlessly without feeling satisfied. They melt quickly in the mouth, and their subtle flavor tricks your brain into thinking you haven't eaten much. The result? Overeating. And when you're older and metabolism slows, that over-snacking adds up faster than ever. Take Robert, 73, who switched to macadamia nuts after reading that they were heart-healthy and keto-friendly. He thought he was making a smart choice. After all, they weren't sweet, they weren't processed, and he'd heard good things about monounsaturated fats. But over several months, Robert gained nearly 8 pounds, noticed tighter clothes, and began feeling more sluggish during his morning walks. It wasn't until a nutritionist reviewed his food journal that they noticed the culprit: daily handfuls of macadamia nuts, totaling nearly 600 calories each day, with minimal protein to balance the impact. Robert swapped them for pistachios and started losing the weight without ever feeling deprived. Another overlooked concern: sodium and additives in flavored varieties. Macadamias are often sold salted, honey roasted, or coated in sugary glazes. That turns a neutral snack into a sodium bomb or sugar trap, both of which work directly against seniors dealing with hypertension, inflammation, or metabolic syndrome. Even raw macadamias, while not dangerous, just don't offer much nutritional upside to justify their caloric load. And what about omega-3s? Unlike walnuts or even chia seeds, macadamias offer very little in the way of essential fatty acids. They do have monounsaturated fats, yes, but so do almonds, olive oil, and avocados, and those foods come with a stronger nutrient profile. Simply put, there are better options that give you more for your bite. This doesn't mean macadamias are bad, but in the context of aging nutrition, where every meal and snack needs to work harder, they just don't deliver enough. They're like that friend who shows up late, eats more than they contribute, and leaves early. You don't mind seeing them once in a while, but you wouldn't build your life around them. So what's the better alternative? If you crave the richness of macadamias, try a small amount as an occasional treat, not a daily habit. Pair them with a protein-rich food, like a boiled egg or Greek yogurt, to slow digestion and balance blood sugar. Keep them portion-controlled, no mindless snacking, and always choose raw, unsalted versions when possible. Even better, reach for almonds, walnuts, or pistachios as your everyday nut choices. They give you the fiber, protein, minerals, and antioxidants that actually support aging bodies, not just fill the snack bowl. You've worked hard for your health. Don't give it away to something that looks luxurious but offers so little in return. This part of your life is about function, strength, resilience, and clarity. It's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that move you forward, choices that reflect how deeply you respect the body you've lived in, the one that's carried you this far. And sometimes that starts with something as simple as a nut. One decision, one swap, one moment of awareness that says, I'm still building. I'm still worth fueling well. 3. Flavored or candied nuts. Hidden sugars and additives. High in added sugars, sodium, and preservatives. Risky for seniors with high blood pressure or diabetes, can contain unhealthy oils, e.g. hydrogenated fats. Example, James switched to flavored nuts thinking they were healthier, but saw rising blood pressure due to sugar and sodium. They sit on the shelves in cheerful packaging, covered in glazes of honey, cinnamon, barbecue, sea salt caramel, or chili lime. Flavored and candied nuts, often marketed as gourmet or better-for-you indulgences, and for seniors trying to move away from cookies or chips, they might seem like a compromise. Nuts are healthy, right? So these are better than candy, better than cake, better than most snacks on the shelf, right? But what few realize is that these flavored nuts are nutritional imposters, designed to feel healthy but often packing the very ingredients older adults should be avoiding: added sugars, excessive sodium, artificial flavorings, and inflammatory oils, making them one of the most deceptively dangerous foods in the pantry, especially for those over 60. Let's strip away the coating and look at what's underneath. At the core, yes, there's a nut, but the problem isn't the nut itself, it's what's been added to it. Take honey-roasted cashews. A single serving can contain over 10 grams of sugar, equivalent to nearly 3 teaspoons. That might not sound like much until you realize that the American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day for women and 36 grams for men. And most seniors already exceed that amount without realizing it. Every time you reach for those flavored pecans, those vanilla-glazed almonds, you're adding more sugar than your body needs. And when you're older, that sugar doesn't just burn off. It turns into fat, inflammation, insulin resistance, and accelerated aging. James, 66, made this mistake. Trying to eat healthier, he gave up candy bars and soda and replaced them with cinnamon-glazed almonds. He snacked on them throughout the day, feeling proud of the shift. But his blood pressure rose, his sleep got worse, and his fasting glucose crept up. When his doctor asked about sugar, James said, "I don't even eat sweets anymore." But a closer look at the nutrition label told a different story. Those almonds contained over 12 grams of added sugar per serving, and he was eating double that amount. Once he switched to raw nuts, his glucose stabilized, his energy evened out, and he finally began to feel the benefits he'd been hoping for. But it's not just sugar, it's sodium too. Flavored nuts, especially savory ones like chili lime, wasabi soy, or garlic herb, are often loaded with hundreds of milligrams of sodium per ounce, sometimes more than 15% of your daily limit in a single handful. For seniors managing high blood pressure, heart failure, or kidney issues, this can be quietly harmful. You don't taste the salt because it's balanced with spice or sweet, but your body registers it, and the consequences build over time. What's worse, many flavored nuts are processed with cheap oils, like canola, sunflower, or even hydrogenated oils, that can increase inflammation and plaque formation in arteries. And for older adults, inflammation is the silent thread running through so many health problems: arthritis, memory decline, fatigue, skin conditions, even depression. You may be snacking on nuts for health, but if they're processed with pro-inflammatory ingredients, the net result may be the opposite. Now consider this. When you eat candied nuts, your brain doesn't register them as a true indulgence. You think you're being good, but you're still getting the dopamine spike, the blood sugar swing, and the cycle of craving and crashing, the same cycle that junk food triggers. That's the danger. They hijack your instincts under the guise of being healthy. But here's the thing. You're not wrong for reaching for them. You were told they were better. You trusted the packaging. You believed that natural flavors meant harmless. And now you're here, asking the smarter question: what do these snacks actually do to my body? And are they worth the trade? If you've been eating flavored nuts thinking they were the better option, you're not alone. It's one of the most common dietary mistakes seniors make. But now you know, and now you can choose better. Here's how. Look for raw or dry roasted, unsalted nuts. If you need a little sweetness, sprinkle cinnamon on almonds or toast walnuts with a light touch of natural vanilla extract. If you like spice, add smoked paprika or cracked pepper at home. That way you control the flavor without the added sugar, oil, or preservatives. Better yet, pair plain nuts with real foods that add satisfaction, like dark chocolate chips, fresh berries, or dried apple slices without sugar. You can build a balanced trail mix at home that's lower in sugar, higher in fiber, and packed with nutrients. And portion matters. Even healthy nuts should be measured. Use a small bowl, not your hand. 1 ounce. No more. It's not punishment, it's precision, and your body deserves precision now more than ever. This isn't about being strict. It's about being wise. Because the older you get, the more every bite matters, and the more your body appreciates when you feed it what it needs, not what feels easy in the moment. So here's the truth. If you want your snacks to support your energy, your heart, your mind, and your future, don't just ask, is it tasty? Ask, is it telling the truth? Flavored nuts are dressed up in health food costumes, but your health needs real nourishment. And you're not here to be tricked. You're here to thrive. At the end of the day, it's just a nut, a small thing, a handful, a moment in the middle of your day when you reach for something to quiet your hunger, to keep your energy steady, to hold space between breakfast and lunch or dinner and sleep. And yet, that tiny handful is more than just food. It's a decision about how you treat your body now, how you support your future self, and how much attention you're willing to give to the choices that seem invisible but carry weight over time. Because when you're over 60, the difference between health and decline rarely shows up in grand moments. It shows up in small habits, repeated day after day, week after week, year after year. A single almond won't make your bones stronger. A walnut won't sharpen your memory overnight. A pistachio won't instantly clear your arteries. But when you build a pattern of choosing better, those small acts compound into stronger immunity, steadier blood sugar, better sleep, sharper thinking, and more ease in your joints when you stand up in the morning. And that's the point. Not perfection, not obsession, consistency, awareness, respect. You've now seen the full picture. How walnuts feed the brain and protect memory, how almonds build bones, skin, and heart resilience, how pistachios stabilize energy, support blood vessels, and nurture the gut. You've learned that cashews, while popular, can strain kidneys and raise blood sugar if overused. You've seen how macadamia nuts, though luxurious, offer too little nutrition for too many calories. And you've been warned about candied, flavored, and processed nuts, which mask sugar and sodium in healthy disguises. You know which habits help and which ones harm, but more importantly, you now know that you can do something about it. You're not too old, it's not too late. Whether you're 62 or 86, your body is still listening, it's still adapting, and it still wants to heal, to grow, to function. But it needs your help, not just in what you avoid, but in what you add. So let this be your new rule. If it goes in your hand, it should help your heart. If it fills your mouth, it should fuel your mind. And if it sits in your pantry, it should serve your future, not just your cravings. Because what you snack on becomes what you are. And for all the things aging takes away, youth, speed, smooth skin, it gives you the wisdom to choose what matters, to stop buying into trends, and to start building something real. Think of your daily handful of nuts not as a filler, but as a ritual. A small, sacred pause in your day when you say, I'm still here. I still have power. And I will nourish this body, not just because I should, but because I can. And for those who live alone, who wonder if anyone notices whether you eat well or skip dinner or grab whatever's fast, know this. You noticing is enough. You showing up for yourself still counts. You reaching for the better snack, the better choice, the better version of you. That matters. You matter. So tomorrow when you walk to the kitchen and you open the cabinet, ask yourself, what do I want this moment to mean? Do I want energy, clarity, confidence, longevity? Then reach for the nut that gives you those things, not the one that just tastes good for 5 seconds and leaves you feeling sluggish, bloated, or guilty. Choose the nut that nourishes. Choose the snack that strengthens. Choose yourself, because you're not just feeding a body, you're feeding a life, and it's still going, it's still growing, and it's still worth protecting, one smart bite at a time.